But you know what I'm trying to say. It's we don't know what happened before that, if he was difficult. And yeah, some people are going to say that he deserved a phone call, but I mean, it's business. They don't really owe you anything. And in the inverse, I mean, how was the relationship Cam going to the Panthers? Like, we don't know.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying in the terms of like, yeah, it's a business, like well-oiled machine. I get that, but I think that, I mean, okay, so in defense of the Panthers, a ton of turnover, and you have to imagine if Ron Rivera is still there when Cam's getting let go and he's not on his way out as well, you got to imagine that Ron Rivera is like giving him a phone call. I would imagine that would be the situation. So really, more than anything, it could show you the disconnect between like owner and upper management for the Carolina Panthers, or for any team for that matter, and the actual players. Because the owners, they could look at it and be like, why would I call him? I can just text him. Right, as Ron Rivera, who's like, I've worked with this guy every day for 9 years. I'm giving him a phone call. So I think that definitely plays a factor in it too. But I understand what you're saying, where it's like it's a business, but I still think that there's a respect part of it. And it's not like the owner doesn't know who Cam Newton is. It's not like Cam Newton was a UDFA who came in and he's grinding his ass off on special teams. This Cam Newton is literally the first overall pick in the draft, somebody who helped turn the franchise around for a little bit. I think that he deserves a phone call, personally.
Okay.
I'm also not an NFL owner, so
that's like the hardest part, though. Is yeah, I probably would have given him a call too, but at the same time, like, where do you really cut off the phone calls and the respect for players? Because all of a sudden, if it's not Cam, you're going to have like a cutoff at like your third round guys, or maybe guys who didn't like start a lot of games, and people are going to be like, I'm not a phone call guy. Yeah. Don't you think I deserve phone? Like, do you have to give everybody phone calls now? Because everybody's going to want a phone call and want the respect. It's like, what are you going to do? I feel like you either give everybody a phone call or you give nobody a phone call.
Well, I mean, we got to know if anybody else has gotten a phone call for the Carolina Panthers recently.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the biggest thing. Is Cam the threshold? Did they just set the threshold at Cam? Because if they set the threshold at Cam, then nobody's getting a phone call ever. Maybe Christian McCaffrey if he ever leaves.
Right.
But if they set the threshold with no phone call for Cam, nobody, if you're ever playing for the Panthers, don't expect a phone call.
Based on what just in my gut, I have a really hard time believing that he was a happy camper and he was just an easy person to be around for management. I think, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think he just believes that he should be playing. And I think it probably was miserable to have him around. And I think he comes off as kind of an abrasive dude. Like, he's really confident. He's alpha energy. And I'm saying those are all good things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're management and your ownership, and I don't know, I feel like he might have driven some people crazy. And it's like there was probably a long relationship where this breakup was going to happen, and they just fired off a text and they're like, it's done finally.